You got that junk food craving? You know, those chips that are calling your name from the cupboard, or maybe some cookies, pop, donuts. What's the thing that holds you back that, you're trying to eat less of, but it gets in your way? Hi, I'm Cora Naylor, emotion co-practitioner. I know a lot of us are trying to eat a little healthier. Summer, you think would be a good time to do it with so many more fruits and vegetables available. But then there's also all those social engagements. We're going to picnics, barbecues, and that's where a lot of those junk foods appear. Do you find yourself hanging around that food table? You just can't get away from it? I know, a lot of people say if you have one chip, you can't just have one chip, right? One chip just leads to more chips and so on. So how do you stop those cravings? Wouldn't it be great if you could just release something magical and the craving would go away? So today I'm here to tell you that there might be a little bit we can do about that. And it's not just eating the junk food. It could even be things like having to feel like you need to clean your plate, or you're bored and you're just looking for something to munch on, even though you're not even really hungry. Or maybe it's even just trying to put your fork down between mouthfuls so that your brain has time to clue into the fact that you've been eating some food. So there is some help that we can do for that. And often what is involved here is some emotions. So it could be from an emotional event that happened in your past, and it pops up in the way of how you eat food or how you relate to food, because we know there is a lot of emotions with food. I mean, we use food to celebrate, we use food to come together, to visit people, going out for dinner, going out for lunch, family gatherings. So a lot of what we do is surrounded around food and comfort and all that kind of stuff. So today I'll be looking for people who want to volunteer. Maybe you have a food craving you'd like to get rid of. I can release that for you, and we can do it as a demo right here live today. If you're interested in doing that, just comment with the food that you'd like to release the craving for. And we've had things like potato chips, Hawkins cheesies, like I said, donuts, pop, any kind of thing you can think of, cookies. It's best if it can be something very specific. Like you can't just say sugar, because sugar is in pretty much everything. So it's got to be the specific food that the sugar is in. Bread even could be, it's very general. So a specific kind of bread, or cookies, a specific cookie. The more specific you can get, the better it is, especially with things like bread and chocolate, because there are so many different kinds and there is a lot of emotion around those ones. But I recently worked with a lady who had a craving for a specific vegan cookie, and we released some emotions for her, and since then, she has not had a cookie. She hasn't felt like eating those cookies. They can be around, and she doesn't feel like she's deprived because she's not having the cookie. We've just released the emotion that made her want to crave those cookies, and now that it's gone, she doesn't feel like she's missing anything. Like I said, what we're going to be doing to the process we use for getting rid of these cravings is the emotion code. And so I'll just give you a little bit of background on the emotion code, because you might be, your first time here today and you're thinking, well, what the heck is this emotion code thing? So the emotion code is a process. It was developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson. He's written a book. So you can get the book, read the book, learn how to do this process for yourself. It's kind of cool. Anybody can learn how to do it. You don't have to have any special talents or abilities in order to do it. So it's just a method of releasing negative trapped emotions. So during your life, every time you go through some kind of a negative event and you don't process the emotions, they get trapped in your body like little balls of energy, like, about the size of a baseball or an orange, and they get trapped all around your body. And it may or may not come out in another form. Oftentimes, it could be associated with specific pains. Like if you actually have a pain in your neck or your shoulders, your hips, something back, some of that may be physical, and some of it may also be emotional. And that emotional pain is what's causing the pain the emotions or that ball of energy is causing that pain, that chronic pain in your back, neck, wherever it is. So if we can release the emotions surrounding that, we can reduce or even get rid of that pain. So how does it work? Well, like I said, it's a process. So the first thing that we need to look at is the emotion code chart. So what Dr. Bradley Nelson did was he invented a chart. So there's a look at it on there. So on the chart, it's divided into two columns, column A and B, and then into 6 rows. So in there, there's 60 different emotions, and some of those emotions will be the ones that are causing the issues for you. Now, the thing to remember too is you can have the same emotion multiple times in your body from different events. So every event has a specific emotion attached to it or more than one. Um, but so you can't just come in here and say, "Oh, delete all these emotions." You have to know the event that it's working with, and then you can release it from there. And the cool thing is we don't have to be together in order for it to work. A lot of my clients that I work with, we do it either through a Zoom call, we can do it on a phone call, or even just through email. As long as I have your permission, we can make it work for you. So we will be using the chart to figure out what the emotions are. But before we can do that, I need to get your permission because we can't just go around doing it on anybody without their permission, even though, it's tempting. So I will get your permission if you're an adult. I'll get your permission directly. When I'm working on your kids, obviously I need the parents' permission. And if I'm working on your pets, then I would need the owner's permission. And I do it by being your proxy. So proxy just means that I can do the actual work on myself as if I'm working on you. So that just transfers it to myself because I'm going through your subconscious and using energy. And that just gives me the ability to do that. How do we do it? So I use what's called muscle testing. If you're not familiar with muscle testing, you can Google it, look it up on the internet. There's lots of videos that explain it. There's lots of different methods. For myself personally, I use what they call a ring method. I just have these fingers, bring them together, and then I ask your subconscious yes and no answer questions. So when it's a yes, my fingers just stay locked together. When it's a no, they just slip right apart. So as I'm asking on the chart which emotions are involved, I can use the muscle testing to find out which emotions are causing the craving and then release those. So you have to remember though, when you're using muscle testing, you need to ask yes or no answer questions. So before we get started, we'll often check what the severity of your craving is or the issue. So we usually rate it on a 1 to 10. And then after I release the emotions, we'll rate it again. So it always goes down at some amount. Ideally, you want to get it down to a 0. So with emotion, sometimes it's like peeling the onion. Some things are a one and done, and sometimes you're peeling the layers, and it takes a bit to get through. So, like I said, we're using this today. We're talking about food cravings, but there's so many other things that you can use the emotion code for. Things like anxieties, chronic pain, fears, bad habits, sinus issues, some sleep issues, procrastination. If you're an author and you're stuck writing a book or a business owner and you're trying to work on a project, I know for me, sometimes kind of the admin things or the things I have to do in the background kind of bog me down. It might be some creative insecurity around that or just some other kind of procrastination, and I can release the emotions that are causing those issues. And then once we figure out what the emotions are that are causing the issues, we're going to use a magnet to release them. So for me, I just actually use my emotion code chart because it's a magnet. What I'll do for regular emotions, we just swipe that over 3 times over the governing meridian. And that kind of goes from the bridge of your nose all the way down your spine. So as long as you're swiping that anywhere along there, that was just dissipates the emotion and releases it out into the open. So it's kind of like when you release the magnetic strip on the back of your credit card, it just dissipates and it's gone. And we do have, though, if it's a inherited emotion, just a few more swipes to get that one. And some of our emotions are inherited, could be inherited from our mom, from our dad, or even further back. And the cool thing is, once you delete that emotion, it deletes it from everyone, even if it goes back 50 generations. It deletes it from everyone, even though, they're obviously probably not around. So, and the last little piece of the puzzle is to make sure everybody's hydrated. That just helps the energy to flow, and then the emotions can just be released more easily, and we can find them better. So that's what it takes to delete food craving. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but if you want to see some testimonials about that, just head on over to my website, coranailer.com. I've got a few food craving testimonials there, or my Google business, and see what other people are saying. If you want to book a session and get rid of some of your food cravings, here's the link for my calendar. Book a time and let's get to work. So I'll see you guys next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. That's the new time for my Facebook Lives. And we'll be talking about something new then. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.